So the fifth strategy of highly effective companies is to drive a wedge between the costs incurred to create your product or deliver your product or service and the willingness of the market to pay for it. So getting pricing strategy right is often overlooked, often missed, but it's such an important part of competitive strategy and success in business. And in many ways, the good news is, in the complexity of world and business, there's really only two pricing strategies that you need to consider. A little bit of 101. In any business, you've got the cost incurred to deliver your product or service. Then you have the willingness of the market to pay. So it's not costs plus margin equals your sell price. You really think about there's a ceiling to what the market will pay for that product or service. Now, success comes from driving the biggest wedge between costs incurred and what the market will pay. Simple as that. Now, in terms of the two ways that you can do that, the first way is through what we call successful differentiated strategy or premium pricing. Now, the objective here is to drive up willingness to pay as high as you can. So develop all the strategies and reasons for consumers to happily, willingly pay a significant premium. And driving the wedge, the biggest wedge in there, is what defines the degree of success. And we've seen a number of businesses do this extremely well. Apple is one of them. They spend so much time and effort creating desire and desperation for people to want that product that will even queue up for days, that they can literally drive up willingness to pay well beyond the cost incurred to develop the product. It's a really good competitive strategy. So the second strategy is called successful low cost. And this is where, when I guess in discounting, where the market's willingness to pay is a little lower, you ruthlessly drive down costs incurred across your whole supply chain. And the objective there is to drive the biggest wedge between those two things. And globally, Walmart are the absolute masters of this. I've got an example if you want to reach out on how they go through their value chain to drive down costs incurred. And locally, JB Hi-Fi are also masters in this particular strategy. Now, sounds really simple, but where most businesses that we see come unstuck is in this last column of what I call disaster. So in business, there's lots of pressure from the market that always pushes down on price. I mean, the market always pushes down on price. And with small businesses, and particularly privately run businesses, there's two principles that mean that costs are usually a little bit higher, or we don't compromise on cost. One is the belief that if we create the best product in the marketplace, that we will succeed. Now, that comes at a cost. And the second thing is that pride. Pride drives the fact that we don't want to compromise on costs. So what tends to happen is costs are higher than the average, willingness to pay is pushed down, and if we're very lucky, we're left with the thinnest slither of profitability. So it's really important, and this is where we've seen the biggest game changer for businesses that we've worked with, to say, pick one of those two, premium or low cost, and double down on it. Be 100% focused. If it's successful differentiated, think of every single way to drive up willingness to pay. Aspiration, desire, law of scarcity, that's one of the key drivers. If you choose successful low cost, you have to be focused and ruthless across your whole value chain to deliver low cost. And the success of focusing on those strategies pays off hugely. So JB Hi-Fi, record sales and profits, and Apple reported this year the $3 trillion market value. So, and look at that growth in what you would consider a very mature and saturated market.